Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to take a concept you already know inside and out, the good old equation of a line, and launch it into the third dimension. We're jumping from the flat world of the XY plane into the awesome 3D space of multivariable calculus. So let's get right into it.
So you've spent years with y equals mx plus b, right? You know it's all about a starting point, which is your y-intercept, b, and a slope, m, that tells you how to move. Now just look over at the 3D version. See the connection? It's the same pattern. We still have a starting point, which we call r0, but instead of a simple slope, we have a direction, and that's represented by the vector v. It's really the same idea, just powered up for 3D.
Okay, so you might be thinking, why can't we just use slope in 3D? Well, think about it. If you're standing on a line floating in space, which way is up or over? There are just so many directions. We need something way more powerful to tell us which way to go.
And that, right there, is the big idea. A single number like slope just can't handle the job in 3 dimensions. But a direction vector? It's perfect. It's like a little compass arrow floating in space, pointing in the exact direction our line needs to travel. It tells us how much to move in the x, how much in the y, and how much in the z direction to stay on that line.
Now, to describe these lines, we've got 3 amazing tools in our toolkit. And don't think of these as totally separate formulas you have to memorize. They're really just 3 different ways of looking at the exact same information. Let's open up the toolkit and see what we've got.
First up is the vector equation. This is kind of the master formula, the big boss. R0 is a position vector that points to a known spot on the line. That's our starting position. V is our all-important direction vector. And T? Well, T is just a simple number, a parameter. Think of it like a dial you can turn. When T is 1, you move 1 full vector length. When T is 2, you move 2 lengths. And if T is -1, you just go backward along the vector. It's as simple as that.
Now check this out. The parametric equations might look new, but they're not. We've literally just taken that vector equation and broken it down piece by piece. The x-coordinate of any point on our line is just the starting x-coordinate plus t times the x part of our direction. And it's the same for y and the same for z. It's the exact same information, just spelled out for each coordinate separately.
And our third tool is the symmetric equations. Now I know, this one looks a little weird at first glance, but there's no magic here. If you take each of those parametric equations we just saw and solve for t, you get t equals x minus x sub 0 over a, and t also equals y minus y sub 0 over b, and so on. Since t has to be the same for all of them, we can just set them all equal to each other. And boom, you've got the symmetric equations.
All right, that's enough theory. Let's put this stuff to work. We'll start with the most basic case you'll see, where you're just given a point to start at and a vector to show you the way.
So, here's our problem. Find the line that goes through the point 2, 4, -1 and runs parallel to the vector 5, 0, -2. The vector form? That's super easy. Just plug and play. Our starting point is 2, 4, -1, and our direction is 5, 0, -2. For parametric, we just break it down. X is 2 plus 5t. Z is -1 minus 2t. And y? Well, y is just 4. That 0 in the direction vector is interesting, isn't it? And yeah, that's going to lead to a little trick when we get to the symmetric form.
Okay, let's pause for a second because this is one of those spots where it's super easy to make a mistake. What in the world do you do with that 0 in the direction vector when you try to write the symmetric equations?
And here is the pro tip you absolutely need to remember. Think back to how we made the symmetric equations. We had to divide by a, b, or c. But what's the one rule we've known since grade school? You can never, ever divide by 0. So, if one of your direction components is 0, you just can't include it in that main equation. You have to pull it out and write its equation on the side.
So let's apply that rule to our problem. Since the y part of our direction vector was 0, the y-coordinate never actually changes. It's always going to be 4, no matter what t is. So what we do is we write the symmetric part for x and z, and then, right next to it, we just state, and y equals 4. That's it. That's the full correct answer.
Okay, time to level up a little bit. What if you're not just handed the direction vector? What if you're just given 2 points floating in space and you're told, hey, find the line that connects these two?
So the process here is actually really simple. Before we can do anything, we need that direction vector. And how do we find the vector that points from P to Q? We just subtract the coordinates, final minus initial. Once you have that vector, guess what? You're right back to a level 1 problem. You've got a direction and you can just pick either P or Q as your starting point and you're good to go. So, for our example, the vector from P to Q is going to be 2 minus -1, 5 minus 0, and 1 minus 3. And that all simplifies down to 3, 5, -2. And just like that, we have our direction vector. Now we've got a point, we can use P for instance, and we've got a direction. We have everything we need to write any of the three forms of the equation.
Now for our final example, let's look at something really cool. This is where these equations really start to feel like powerful tools for geometry. We're going to find the exact point where our 3D line punches right through a plane.
So let's try to find where the line given by r equals 1, -4, 2 plus t times 2, 1, 3 crosses the xz plane. The whole key to this is just knowing what the xz plane is. It's just a collection of all points in space where the y-coordinate is 0. That's it. So all we have to do is take our parametric equation for y, which is y equals -4 plus t, and set it equal to 0. Solving that will give us the exact t value, the exact moment, that our line hits that plane.
Solving -4 plus t equals 0 is easy enough, right? It gives us t equals 4. This single number is our magic key. It's the specific parameter value, the exact moment in time when our line passes through that plane. Now we just have to use this key to find the actual coordinates. So now we just plug t equals 4 back into all three of our parametric equations. For x, we get 1 plus 2 times 4, which is 9. For y, we get -4 plus 4, which is 0, which is a perfect check, right? It had to be 0. And for z, we get 2 plus 3 times 4, which is 14. And there you have it. The intersection point is 9, 0, 14. We did it!
So when you boil it all down, what's the one big takeaway here? It's really simple. To define any line anywhere in 3D space, you only ever need two things: a point to start from and a vector to tell you which direction to go. That's the whole game.
So we've totally got lines down. A line is a one-dimensional thing, and it needs a point and a direction vector. So what about a plane? A plane is a flat, two-dimensional surface. What do you think its essential ingredients might be? Just something to think about as you keep going on your calculus journey. Thanks for watching.